everyone. Welcome to another session today on behalf of Ops for Vets and Southwest Veterans Business Resource Center. My name is Jennifer Larinas, a co-owner of California 5-Star Coffee. I'm located in heart of Oakland, California. I'm also a financial licensed professional in the state of California, New Mexico, Virginia, Florida, Georgia, to name a few. I will be your host for today. Again, welcome. And thank you for having skin in the game. I'm a fellow veteran, a DVBE with 21 years of military service. I'm just like you. Again, welcome today. Through this platform, through Zoom classes and our new platform, Microsoft platform, we are helping all the veteran businesses to get certified, registered, through the government of state and federal at no cost to you. So if you're not certified yet, if you're not registered yet, please do not miss any of our workshop. Also, please don't forget to register on our YouTube channel, Ops for Vet YouTube channel. From there, you're able to get all our past workshop classes, our future. It takes about a couple days before we can actually post it, but you're able to see anything that you've missed. We already had stuff going on with DGS with Mr. Wayne Gross, two-part series that's already been posted. We also had one with the VA, and this is the second part with small businesses, Mr. John, today. Again, before I give you Mr. John, for those ones that missed before, Mr. John Engstrom currently serves as a business opportunity specialist for the San Diego district of the U.S. Small Business Administration. John provides government contracting guidance to 8A firms, conducts hub zone visit, and is a high sought out speaker. He served as the Veterans Recruiting Specialist for Merit Consulting and the BRAVE program. His mission was to place veterans into jobs. John served as the Western Regional Recruiter for battlefields to oil fields. He recruited 678 veterans into a 5-week training programs, which led to a job placement upon graduation. John served in a contractor role as the Senior Military Talent Acquisition Specialist for Life Technologies. Upon his arrival in March 2012, he initiated an aggressive career fair schedule and maximized speaking and networking opportunities. He developed and rolled out a military apprenticeship program for Life Technologies, which has provided 44 transitioning military personnel in 8 months with 1-day job shadowing experience in their occupational area of interest. As a result, Life Technologies received the Meritorious Support of Veterans and Military Award for 2012 and was recognized as the San Diego County Corporation of the Year for 2012. Also, John was instrumental in 45 veterans being hired by the Life Technologies in 1 year. John spent 5 years as the Diversity Outreach Coordinator of the Navy's Naval Aviation Enterprise. He was instrumental in increasing awareness of naval aviation in helping more than 200 minority high school graduates attain tuition-free NROTC college scholarship, leading to a commission as an officer in the U.S. Navy or U.S. Marine Corps. He also played a major role in developing and rolling out a formal mentor training program. As an administrative officer of the TSA in San Diego, he had the best recruiting, hiring, and new employee orientation program in the entire TSA. John had a distinguished 25-year career with the U.S. Marine Corps. He enlisted as a private and advanced rapidly through the enlisted ranks. Based on his outstanding leadership and technical expertise, he was appointed to warrant officer. In order to serve in more strategic role, he was promoted into LDO, limited duty officer, and retired as a major. John has a master degree in human resource management and a bachelor degree in business administration. Without further ado, welcome, Mr. John, and thank you.
Hey, thank you. That was the long bio version. I think the last time we did the short version. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thing on slideshow. Yeah, let me get back here. Let me share the screen. Let's go back here. And now we'll put it on. Okay, I think everybody can see that. So today, the last time we talked about 4 different government contracting programs. This time, we're going to talk about the 8A Business Development Program. This is the slide, probably the only slide where I really feel young, because the SBA was created in 1953. That was before I was born, and it was during President Eisenhower's administration. And basically, the thing to know is this is your SBA. SBA, whether it's my district office or it's our SBA resource partners, they are here to help the small business owners. And it was created to create financial technical management assistance, basically to help Americans start, run, and grow their businesses. Okay. The first question you have to ask yourself is, why would I want to do business with the federal government? The answer, back in 2017, $442.6 billion in federal government contracts were awarded in 2017. And then in 2019, we had $501.6 billion in federal government contracts awarded. So yeah, that's pretty good motivation for doing business with the federal government. So then the next question you have to ask yourself, does the federal government buy what I'm selling? If they do, yeah, move forward. If not, then you probably don't want to do business with the government. So you have to identify what your primary NAICS code is, and that's the North American Industry Classification System. And 8A firms must be small based on the primary NAICS code. So there's a NAICS table that's available. I would encourage you to take a look at that. If you're not sure what your NAICS code is going to be, go ahead and take a look at that and try to identify the primary NAICS code for you, and then take a look at some of the other ones that you have expertise in. And I'm going to show you how you can use that a little further in the presentation. So right now, we have 99 8A firms that are in the program in San Diego. And out of those 99, I manage 40 of them. And most of our firms are in the construction and the IT industry. So 236220, we have 20 firms that have that as a primary NAICS code. That's basically construction. And then the 541 series, that's in the IT. So anything in 236, 237, 238 series, the first 3 digits, that's construction. So these are the firms we have, that we have multiple firms that have that primary NAICS code. So when I flip to the next slide, you're going to see a lot more NAICS codes, but in that case, only one of our firm has a primary NAICS code in each of these. So, and our firms, they have primary NAICS codes and they have additional. I have one firm that probably has 80 different NAICS codes. So that means that if a contracting officer reaches out and does a search on the dynamic small business search, and they type in any one of those NAICS codes, and if they're looking for 8A firms, my firm with all of those NAICS codes is going to pop up on the list. So it's always good to pop up on the radar. Yeah, the San Diego business team, we have Carlos Liu, he's the lead, and then Merrick and myself. So yeah, we've been together almost 5 years, and really a dynamic, dynamic team. And I'm really the lucky one because I get out here to do the presentations. I'm the only extrovert in the group. They're both introverts, and they would rather have me do this. And I absolutely love this for the chance to share information. So what did our 8A firms accomplish back in FY 2017? The reason I use 2017 is, in my opinion, that's the last normal year we ever had. Since FY 2017, there's been some government work stoppages, sequestration, issues with the budget. And so at that point in time, $919,901,962 in federal government contracts were awarded to our 8A firms. Back then, I think we had 105, and we were so close to hitting the $1 billion mark. Yeah, we were about 70,000 off of that. Actually, 80,000. Yeah. So we were pretty close. So we were thinking that, yeah, okay, we're going to do that the next year. And then the next year there was some government stoppages, so we didn't do that. And then when you take a look, what happened in FY 2020, only 399,000. So just a little shy of $400 million was awarded in federal government contracts to 8A firms. And that's basically COVID. COVID was a big deterrent. I will tell you, in FY 21, we've already exceeded that amount. We're very close to hitting the $500 million mark so far in FY 21. So that's exciting after having a down year like that. Yet my firms the money is great rolling in. So that's a good thing. So there are 4 basic government contracting programs. And the one I'm going to talk about today is the 8A Business Development Program. But there's a Hub Zone program, and that's designed for firms that are in underprivileged areas. So there's certain areas that you might find in Chula Vista, El Cajon, Lakeside, that are underutilized, which become hub zones. And there's actually one in La Jolla, and you wouldn't think that La Jolla might be an underprivileged area, but the hub zone is based on the per capita income of those who live in that area. And when you take a look at how much money the UCSD students are making, that's what lowers the per capita income. And then for those veterans in the audience, we have the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program. And for the women in the audience, there's also the Women-Owned Small Business Federal Contracting Program. And you can find out more about any of these government contracting programs at www.sba.gov. You just take your mouse, you run it over the top, over a federal contracting, and then you have 3 drop-down columns. The center column is the one that talks about contracting assistance programs, and then just scroll down to the program you want to take a look at. Okay, this is a good time. I'm getting ready to go in depth into the 8A program. So you've probably heard this before. The only dumb question is the question you don't ask. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask those questions. And my shipmate Jennifer, she will keep her eagle eye on the chat, and she'll interrupt me from time to time saying, "Hey John, I got a question here." So chances are someone else may be thinking the same thing you are. Great minds think alike. So yeah, go ahead and ask the questions. Okay. Any questions before I hit the next slide? Okay, we will do next. So what is the 8A program? It's a 9-year program that helps socially and economically disadvantaged small business obtain federal government contracts. So whoever is the disadvantaged individual, the owner, must be socially and economically disadvantaged. And how do you find that out? Well, 13 CFR, that's the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 124.103 and .104. That basically explains what is required to be socially disadvantaged and then also economically disadvantaged. And in a nutshell, if you're a Caucasian or white male like me, chances are you're not going to get in the program. Basically, if you were African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, Native Hawaiian, Alaskan Native, you have a great chance to qualify for the program as long as you meet the other requirements. And for the women in the audience, if you happen to be a Caucasian woman and you can't get into the program based on race ethnicity, there is a caveat that if for any reason you have been discriminated on against based on your gender, if you put together a compelling essay or summary, you may be able to get in. So there's two segments of the program. The first phase is the developmental phase, and that's the first 4 years. That's where someone like me sits down with a firm, and the first thing I do is when I have a firm assigned to me, I'll send them an email with a template to do their business plan. I give them 30 days to get me their business plan. And once they set that business plan in, I go through it, and I also take a look at their profile on the dynamic small business search. And we will take a look at the DSBS pretty soon. So I'll take a look at that, and that gives me valuable insight where it really helps me get to know the firm. And then at that point, I review the business plan. Either I approve it or I kick it back and say, hey, you need to address these items. And then at that point, I sit down and do an orientation. An orientation is usually an hour and a half. I give them the rules to the road and give them the tools to be successful to go out there and get 8A opportunities. The last 5 years is part of the transitional phase, and that's where additional focus is placed on non-8A contracts. So when you think about it, the 8A program is only 9 years. So what happens after you graduate from the program? You can no longer have access to 8A opportunities, basically is the prime. There are ways you could get access if you were involved in a mentor protege or joint venture, but the program basically is 9 years. So what happens in your 5th year of the program, there's a requirement that 15% of your total revenue has to be from non-8A sources. So if you're a veteran and you're SDVOSB certified, what if you get a contract with the VA? That's wonderful. And basically, that's not going to be 8A. It's probably going to be an SDVOSB award. If you do something with Caltrans or the city of San Diego or the San Diego airport, anything in the state, the county, the city, that's going to be non-8A. That's how you can build up that revenue. So you'll see that I highlighted those numbers in yellow. The reason for that is that's going to change since the way SBA used to do it. The way it was before is that percentage would increase incrementally 10% per year until the 9th year. You needed 55% of your total revenue from non-8A sources. And SBA realized that for some reason, firms were always having difficulty in the 7th and 8th year. So then they said, okay, so yeah, we're going to go 15 to 25%. But then in year 7, we're only going to require 30% of your total revenue non-8A. And then 40% in year 8. And then in year 9, 50% of your total revenue has to be from non-8A sources. And the reason we do that is we want you to be self-sustaining once you graduate from the 8A program and you no longer have access to 8A. Now, I think I'm really a nice guy, and and I love all of my firms. But if any one of my firms fail to hit those numbers, yes, I will put them on remedial. It's not because I don't love them, it's dealing with compliance. So for some reason, let's say the 8th year, the requirement is 40%. And if the firm only got 38%, that's not 40. They have to go on remedial, which means they no longer have access to 8A sole source opportunities until they make up that deficit. Once they make up the deficit, they're off remedial. They're back fully eligible for anything. So that's serious. Okay. Okay.
John, I have one question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So there's a question. If we are an SDVOSB, but not a minority, are we still eligible?
Okay. Okay, good question. So if you're SDVOSB and you happen to look like me, because you said not a minority, I could be the minority in the group here, but if you're not, if you happen to be Caucasian, chances are you will not qualify for the 8A program. But if you happen to be a woman, and you were discriminated on based on gender, you might be able to get it. So I hope that answers the question. So one thing in my session last time, I talked about the federal mandate is that 23% of all government contracts are set aside for small businesses. So 5% of that is set aside for small disadvantaged businesses, which include 8A. But in 2019, instead of 5%, it was 10.5% that was awarded to 8A firm, small disadvantaged business. So the government agencies knocked it out of the park. So 5% is set aside for small disadvantaged businesses. 5% set aside for women-owned small businesses. 3% is set aside for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, and 3% is set aside for HubZone. So just know that, Marine math, I can only count up to 10, but if you do the math, that comes up with 16. See, I saw Jennifer give me the 6 here, so she added it. So that's 16%, and the federal mandate's 23. So you have a chance as an SDVOSB to go after 3% of that pie as an SDVOSB, but then there's that extra 7%, which kind of falls under a small business set aside. So you could go after those opportunities. So, but you're not 8A. Okay. We will go to the next slide.
I got a couple more.
Okay.
Yes, couple more. So second, 2 more, but can we receive more information on the mentor protege program?
Yes. So if we go back to that slide, and I will do that for instructional purposes only. Okay. So look at the very bottom, www.sba.gov. So I mentioned the mouse goes across the top, hold it over federal contracting, and then when you see that center column, you'll see information about 8A, HubZone, SDVOSB, WSB, and the All Small Mentor Protege program. So you'll be able to click on that, and that will give you information. So since that question came up about the mentor protege, up until recently, there were 2 options for the 8A firms. They could do it the easy way, which would be apply for the All Small Mentor Protege program, or they could do the hard way, applying through me. And because I have so many different duties that I do, where all small and just do mentor protege stuff. And it was so funny because every single package that came in me, I got it done before. Other people went to all small, but now all the mentor protege programs are done by all small. And then just in case somebody's asking about joint venture, once you get your MPA, mentor protege agreement approved for all small, there are opportunities to pursue joint ventures. And the new rules on joint ventures, which just came up recently, is that the only joint venture that could be approved through me is if it's for an 8A sole source opportunity. So if it's competitive 8A, or it's an SBUSB or WSB or a hub zone JVA, that would not come through me. Okay. And then we had one more question, you said?
And one last one, how do we get started in the 8A program? Where do we apply and how long does it take to get certified?
Oh, it takes forever. Okay. Seriously, okay. So when you go to this website and you get to the center column, you can click on the 8A program and basically there'll be a link there. And okay, I'm going to talk about some things coming up, and you have to have a sam.gov profile if you want to do business with the government. So you have to have that, and then you go to certify.sba.gov and you apply. Now, I will tell you about the two most awesome people I know. One of them is Cheryl Brown. She works out of the North San Diego SBDC, that's the Small Business Development Center. And their office is on Las Palmas and Carlsbad at the Miracosta campus. So I think she still may be teleworking, but one of the slides, you'll see it come up about the SB Resource Partners. She's a great one to go to. And then another source, the second most awesome person I know, Brett Householder. He's the director at PTAC, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, which is located at 880 National City Boulevard in National City. And they're located at the Southwestern Community College campus. So those are the two best people or two best offices to assist you. There is a third option, and that's one where you pay somebody to do that for you. That's not a good deal because you may spend an exorbitant amount of money and you may not get approved. So Cheryl's favorite word is free. So they provide free assistance for you. And the other thing, how long does it take? Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to get in the program. And I think SBA has been more lenient recently. So if you have all your ducks in line, so that means you provide all the information that they ask, and ensure that you have potentiality for success, that it might get done fairly soon. I can't put a timeline on it. Yeah, it all varies. It really depends. Okay.
Okay, one last one. One more.
One more.
So less than 1% of the US population sign in the armed forces. Since it's less than 1% of the US population, all veterans represent a minority. So are we eligible for 8A as a minority?
Wow, that is a great question. And unfortunately, it goes back to this regulation, 13 CFR, part 124.103.104. And so, yeah, unfortunately, hey, it was up to me. Yeah, come on down, let me sign you up. But nah, you can't do that. We gotta be compliant and go with the regs. Now, if you can go into the regs and you see a potential loophole or something like that, you never know. You could make history. Okay, so we covered this slide before. Okay, now the next slide, how do I qualify for the 8A program? Yeah, you must be a small business. And that's the same rule with any of the 4 government contracting programs. And how do you know if you're a small business? So let's take NAICS code 236220. The size standard for that is $39.5 million. So as long as you have not had more than $39.5 million in revenue for an average of 5 years, 5 consecutive years, you're still small. There's some NAICS codes that you could make $1 billion, but as long as you don't have more than 100 employees, you're always going to be small. So take a look at that NAICS code, pick out the NAICS code that you believe that you could do the preponderance of work, or If you're already established, what's the NAICS code that you're doing the preponderance of your work in, and then take a look and see what the size standard is. Another requirement to be in business for at least 2 years. Okay, there may be a question coming up that says, oh, what if I've been in for 1.5 years? Okay, it does say 2 years, but if you've been in for 1.5 years in business and you have a tremendous amount of revenue that you've already brought in, plus you have potentiality for success, you could get in with a waiver. So it's all up to the people that do the certifications that make the decisions. Okay, another rule is you cannot already have participated in the 8A program. This is a one-shot deal. It's 9 years in and you're out of the program. Must be at least 51% owned and controlled by US citizens. Must be a US citizen and who are economically and socially disadvantaged. So that goes back to the 13 CFR part 124.103 and .104. And here's a new change, which is good for those applying. Be owned by someone whose personal net worth is $750,000 or less. So usually there's some questions that come up about net worth. The easy way to do net worth, you take your total assets and then you subtract your total liabilities. That gives you a net worth. However, SBA goes one step further. What we do is we take a look. Now, if you're a homeowner, we take a look at your principal residence. So let's say you had $1 million home and you had a $500,000 mortgage. So 1 million minus 500,000 is 500,000. You take that 500,000 and you subtract it from your net worth. Let's say that you have a 401k. If you're my age, I can access my 401k anytime I want without a penalty. But for those of you that are younger than me, if you want to take money out of your 401k, we're going to say, we're going to give you a penalty. Yes, you can take the money, but it's going to cost you. So SBA looks at it, okay, so that money in your 401k, we can subtract that from your net worth. And then the third factor is, let's say you have some money tied up in business or business equity, that gets subtracted. So those are the factors that can help you get your personal net worth under 750,000. Because we do have some people that their net worth is a little higher, but then with the SBA adjusted net worth, that brings it below that. And another thing that I do, I don't think it's on the slide, but I do annual reviews every year with my firms. And every year they have to demonstrate that their net worth is under $750,000 or less. Okay, once again, how can I qualify? Be owned by someone whose average adjusted gross income for 3 years is $350,000 or less. That's another change. So once again, they raised the limit a little bit. It used to be $250,000, now it's $350,000. And then be owned by someone with $6 million or less in assets. The old number was 4 million, now it's 6 million. So once again, SBA is widening that aperture for small businesses to get in. And the owner has to manage the day-to-day operations and also make the long-term decisions. And then all its principals must demonstrate good character. And here's the thing I talked about before, show potential for success and be able to perform successfully on contracts. And let's see the next one. Okay, so one of the questions says, how can you do that? How can I apply? See, that was one of the questions already. And I verbally gave the answer, but now you can see it in writing. So you use the certified.sba government website. And before you do that, you have to have that profile at sam.gov. And after you successfully complete your certification process, you should update your profile at SAM. Now what happens is that you can put something on SAM, but only SBA can put it on your dynamic small business search program once you get into the 8A program, they'll put your entrance date and then your graduation date, and that'll be 9 years later. So SBA is the only one who can put it on your dynamic small business search profile.
Question.
Yes.
Will a 3-year-old 501c3 with less than 50,000 revenue qualify to do business as an 8A?
Okay, I would say no. I would recommend that you, reach out to Cheryl or Brett, because they're the experts on that side of the table. But when I hear 501(c), that's a nonprofit. Is that correct? I think so. Yeah, if it's a nonprofit, we don't have 8A opportunities for nonprofit. So
Another one. Sorry.
Yep. Okay.
Ineligible letter and denial letter, is there a difference?
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like somebody may have already applied and got something. So to me, ineligible would mean that you may not be eligible at this point in time, but denial means no. I guess, yeah, denial means no, and then I think you could probably reapply in a year. With ineligible, that might be, oh, no, you don't have, you're not socioeconomically disadvantaged. Yeah, maybe you look like John Engstrom, or maybe your net worth is above that limit. So there may be some factors why you're ineligible. And I think these are great questions. And if you're serious about the program, definitely reach out to Cheryl or Brett and his team. They can answer. They're truly the experts on that side of the application process. So myself, Carlos, America, we're the subject matter experts once you get into the program. Do you have another question, or?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. So the good news is if you get through all the wickets, you'll receive a letter in the mail. Oh yeah, that's if it was approved. Or if not, but if it is approved, then your certification will last for a maximum of 9 years. Yeah, and here's the annual review. So yeah, I did put it on here. So that's the thing that you have to send a bunch of information in for the annual reviews. Now the certification, it's a 9-year certification. However, this last year, because of COVID, and you saw the numbers on the slides, how the firms did not do as well as they had in the past, SBA decided that they would extend the firms for 1 more year, if they wanted to. So right now, firms that have come in for 9 years are actually getting 10. That good deed for the extra year is already stopped. Okay, dynamic small business search. We talked about this already. It's a profile that's linked with the Systems Awards Management, SAM. It's a powerful tool that contracting officers use to identify potential contractors. And the 8A firms can use DSBS to identify other small businesses for maybe teaming, mentor protege, joint venture, and also to see what they have on their profile that they may be able to use and put on their profile. In essence, your profile will be your resume. So just think about, if you're applying for a job, you want your resume to really be good. You want numbers to jump off the page. You want somebody to really be interested. So the profile is your resume. You put your address and contact information. Your certifications are on there. There's a capability narrative. You can put up to 240 words in that capabilities narrative. I encourage you to put the maximum in. And I think on the next slide, I'm going to show you 3 examples. And then NAICS codes. You'll have your primary, and then you'll have your additional. And what happens, your primary is listed first. So let's say you're an IT person, 541519. That might be your primary, and then you might have an additional of 519511, 519512, 514, etc. And those, the additional NAICS codes are listed in numeric sequence. So it's not a case where somebody looks at the profile and says, ah, I see this is her primary and that's her secondary. No, the primary is there, and then the other ones are additional NAICS codes. And basically, that shows that you have the expertise in all of those categories, and a federal agency could be interested in you for working any of those NAICS codes. Keywords, once again, 240 words. Make the maximum of that. And then last, performance history. This is where you list things that you've already done. Under no circumstances, list the person's name, who your point of contact was, their phone number or email address. Because if you do that, some other small business could look at your profile and decide to call NAVFAC Southwest or NAVWAR and say, hey, I'm aware that you did business with ABC company. Not only can I do better work than them, I can give you a better rate. And there's a lot of that goes on. So don't make yourself a target. Okay, here we go. And I'm not sure, I do know that we have at least one Navy in the audience. We have at least 2 Marines. Yep, possibly more. But the guy that runs this show, I think Jennifer reports to, Al Renteria, he's a retired Marine Chief Warrant Officer. And his call sign is Spam King. Yes, and that is for a reason. He asked me to speak at one of his events, and it was February, I think it was like February 29th, a few years ago. So I said, okay, I'm going to be talking to a room full of veterans. So let me go into DSBS and let me do a search of SDVOSB firms in San Diego. So what I found, there's 3 firms. Now Charles Pate at the top, he happens to be an Air Force veteran. Laura Geist is an Army veteran, and Christian Lopez is a retired Marine. So when we take a look at this area that's red and green, that is the capabilities narrative. So when I take a look at Charles and Laura, if I was a government contract officer, I'm thinking, wow, if they don't have the initiative to put anything in their capabilities narrative, what kind of job are they going to do for me? I'm not even going to look at their profile. But when they go to ACC3 International and they see all of this information in there, and right up front, he's telling them I'm 8A certified and I'm SDVOSB. You know, and I'm not here to say, hey, Marines do it better than the other services. It just so happens Christian is one of my firms, and when we had our orientation, I said, hey, shame on you. Look at your capabilities narrative. You need to fortify that. I want to see 240 words in there, and basically he nailed it. So any contracting officer would definitely see this. And let's go a little further. Then they would click on the line that has ACC International and take a deeper dive on his profile. So any questions on that? This is, you know, the red, it's just a nightmare.
One question.
Okay.
Should the NAICS, I always say NAICS, but you know, NAICS code should be matched the tax return?
Okay, so hopefully, if you have a tax, you want your NAICS code, your primary NAICS code, to be the one that you're doing the preponderance of business. So if you're putting that on your tax return, that should be the one that you're using, because you could go in there and you can put that stuff in. So I think, you know, any doubt, check with Cheryl and Brett, but I think you have control over that. Okay, we'll go to the next. So let's say you're brand new in the 8A program. You can't expect to just knock on an agency's door and say, hey, I'm here, I want a contract. That's not how it works. There's a lot of hard work. And subcontracting to a prime contractor is a great way to get your foot in the door. So I think all of you have probably heard of Booz Allen Hamilton, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. Yeah, there's tons of firms out there that are large prime contractors. So there's a federal mandate that a certain percentage of their certain percentage of their team has to be small businesses. So why couldn't you be their 8A firm? Or why couldn't you be their SDVOSB? Or let's say that you go into the subnet database, any federal contract valued at over $700,000 has to be listed on there. So let's say you go on the subnet and you reach out to Tony Vigo at General Atomics. And you go, hey, Tony, I saw this thing on the subnet directory. Not only am I 8A certified, but I'm SDVOSB. You know, here's my capability statement. So basically, Tony takes a look at it and go, oh, wow, yeah, you'd be a good fit. Huh, I already got an SDVOSB on this. Yeah, I think I'm going to bring you on board as my 8A. Or conversely, oh, already have an 8A. Let me bring you in as my SDVOSB. So take a look at those opportunities, subcontracting. Just don't shut it off. This is a good way, because if you work for a subcontractor, that work can go on your performance history. How to place an offer on a federal government contract, beta.sam. That's where you go in there, and you must be registered in the General Service Administration Federal Government Computer System, sam.gov. So remember, one of the first things I said is you have to have a sam.gov account, before you're going to do business with the government. And then once registered, offer is submitted. Firm needs to complete online representation certifications application in SAM. So there's a lot of paperwork with the government. And this is kind of what beta.sam.gov looks like. Now, here's a huge advantage that my 8A firms have over anyone else. I mean, any firm can use this, but only an 8A firm can take it to the next level. So there's the website, fpds.gov. So that's the Federal Procurement Data System. You could go in, and this is 20 years worth of contracts that have already been awarded. And now you can go in there and you can say, okay, let me take a look. And let's say you're searching by NAICS code, which we're going to do in a minute or two. Here's the agency that awarded it. Here's the award winner. Here's the dollar value, the terms of the contract, the type of an award. I'm going to teach you how to look for that, and the expiration date. That's also important. And here's what FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System, looks like. So when you go in there, the first thing you see is there's an easy search, and it has Google-like search. And you just can't type in there. What you have to do is click on it, and you backspace, and you get all of that stuff out of there. And then you type in a NAICS code. So in this case, for this demonstration, I chose 236220. And if you remember from one of the previous slides, I have 20 of my 8A firms that have 236220 as the primary NAICS code. So we put in 236220 and we click enter. Now, I have a bunch of arrows, but take a look at the arrow that's pointing down. So I did this thing back on October 17, 2019. On that date, there were 860,468 actions that were taken. And the first one we see is, that's $7,288,000. Yeah, that's not bad. So do you have the time Yeah, I know Ray has a lot of time, and Ray and I have had this conversation before. And I said, do you have enough time to go through 860,468 contracts? And he said, no. I said, okay, so this is what we're going to do. You'll see where there's that downward arrow. So what we need to do is we have to go ahead and do an advanced search. So in the upper right-hand corner, there's a thing for advanced search. And once you click on that, then you'll see where it says add. You click on add, and then you go where this upside down triangle is. You click on that triangle, and you scroll down to socioeconomic indicators. And then you click on that. That populates to the box. Then you go over to the like box, and you type in the number 8 and the letter A. If you do the 8 and the A in parentheses, you're going to get nothing. I remember the first time I did it, I go, you got to be kidding me. All of those was not an 8A contract. And I said, oh, let me try the number 8 and the letter A. So if that happens to you, just know that's 8 and A. You do that, and then we're going to hit enter. So see what happens. We have over 860,000. So once we do that, we can just hit enter, or we can click on search. Wow, we've narrowed it down to 290,427. So basically, we got rid of 75% of the stuff. So this is the stuff that is 8A. So then I asked Ray again, I go, hey, do you have enough time for 291,427 to go through? No, I don't. Okay, so we're going to do one more thing. So this is what we've done so far. We clicked on advanced search, we clicked on add, we clicked on the triangle, we put socioeconomic indicators like 8A, we hit enter, or we selected search, and we narrowed the field from 860,468 to 291,427 hits. So now Ray, he doesn't have enough time to do this, and I'm sure you don't either. So we're gonna take it one step further. Okay, we go back, and then see this one here, you can actually see advanced search where the other slide, it was cut off up there. So we go in, and now we click on, we add again, and then we click that upside down triangle, we scroll down to description of requirement, and this is where you choose a keyword. I mean, you should have a bunch of keywords on your DSBS profile. So since we're using 236220 as the NAICS code, we decided, well, let's try building as a keyword. And if we use building and we didn't get a lot of hits, okay, let's go back and try another keyword. So in this scenario, we click building, and now we have 23,621. And I said to Ray, I go, Ray, can you handle 23,621? And he says, of course, John, I'm a Marine, I can do that. So this is something that you're not going to do this in a day, but we've narrowed the field down quite a bit. Now, as we take a look at it, you see where that red arrow is? This red arrow is aligned with vendor DUNS number. So the whole purpose of going in here, we want to find an opportunity that was already awarded to someone under the 8A program, and we want to see if that firm is graduated from the 8A program. Because if that firm is graduated from the program, what does that mean? And the answer is, it means that if they graduated from the 8A program, they're no longer eligible to do a follow-on contract. So what does that mean? If you're 8A certified, why can't you be the one to do the follow-on contract? So let's find out. So what we do is we highlight the DUNS number, and you can do Control-C. You want to copy that DUNS number. Then we go to the Dynamic Small Business Search profile. So DSBS, and in order to get there, you go to the DSBS website, and you scroll all the way down. There's a lot of other information you could enter. But for this purpose here, we're going to go searching for a specific profile, and we're going to put that DUNS number in. And once we put the DUNS number in, we click enter. And now here comes the profile. So smart assistive technologies. While you have this in front of you, take a look and see what their capabilities narrative is. Is there anything in there that's interesting that you might want to add to your profile? Let's see. Since you did a search on building, you probably have building maintenance, but maybe you can do solar and you don't have it on yours. Maybe you can do landscaping or electrical, plumbing, HVAC. So these are certain words that you can take and add to your capabilities narrative or to your keywords. So what we're going to do is, once we get that, a little recon, get some more information. Now we're going to click on Smart Assistive Technologies and find out if they graduated or not. And the answer is right here, 8A certification, where the red arrow is. They came into the program January 15th, 2009. 9 years later, they graduated January 15th, 2018. So now you know that they graduated from the program and they can no longer do this 8A work, any follow-on work. So now what do? Well, instead of going to the next page, we're going to back up. And if we go back to the FPDS, if you take a look here, there's a couple of things you could do. You could click on this link for Smart Assistive Technologies, and that will show every award that they've been given. And I've done this, and I came up with one that had 93 different awards. I think another one had 108 awards, multiple agencies. So basically, you can find out how many awards they've been given, in the 8A program, and you can find out the list of agencies who they did business with. And guess what? Those agencies, they could be your future customers. Another thing you can do, you could view the contract. You could take a look at the contract, and when you click on view, in the upper right-hand corner is the point of contact. And usually they have a person's name, and sometimes you have a legitimate email address, or you have an email address that has a code in there as part of the email address, and that's not correct. That's not part of it. So, like for instance, if you clicked on for NAVFAC Southwest, you see the person's name up there, and then you see N62413 or something like that. Just pretend that N621 is not in there. And you might have the person's first name dot last name at navy.mil. And then what you can do is you can reach out to that person and say, hey, I'm aware that you had a contract with Smart Assistive Technologies LLC. It was an 8A contract, and I realized they graduated from the program on January 15, 2018. We are 8A certified, and we're interested in doing business with NAVFAC. We can do that work on attaching our capability statement. Look forward to hearing from you. That's one option you can do. The second option you can do is, Smart Assistive Technologies, if they had good rapport with the contracting officer, you can always reach out to Smart Assistive Technologies and say, hey, I'm interested in doing business with, in this case, the immediate office of the Secretary of Transportation. Could you introduce me? Sure. Or, what's in it for me? Yeah, well, how about if I introduce you and I could be your subcontractor on that because I have the relevant past performance. So that's another way of doing it. So great potential opportunities in this website.
I got a few questions for you.
Yes, I figured you would. Go ahead.
I was just waiting until you're done. So first one is, can you please provide 3 advices for all SDVOSB whom wants to apply for the 8A?
Okay, well, I guess the first thing would be, okay, you want 3. The first one, is go to the website, www.sba.gov, mouse over federal contracting, go to contracting assistance programs, click on 8A, and find out everything you need. That's step number one. Step number two would be to reach out to either Cheryl Brown or the people at PTAC and ask them for help when you put your application together. Number three would be make sure that you provide everything they ask for. So it's like dotting the I's and crossing the T's. You want to make sure that you do everything right the first time. So those are the top three keys. So that was a great question. And that's the first time somebody asked that question before. So, hey.
Thank you, John. And
Next
next question. Are minorities discriminate against this type of contacting? How can we protect against it?
I mean, discriminated against applying for opportunities?
Not really.
Yeah, I would say no. I'd say if you are a minority, you know, whether it's racial, ethnic, so racial would be African American, Asian, ethnic would be Hispanic, and then you have, you know, the Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, and, Native American. If you're in one of those minority groups, you have a huge advantage with the English program. If you meet all the qualifications, you could get in. I can't. I mean, I could do all the paperwork and they would say, no, you can't get in. So I think being a racial or ethnic minority, as long as you meet all the qualifications, you have a huge advantage. And the whole charter is that there's that federal mandate, 23% of all federal contract revenue has to be set aside by small business, and they're knocking out of the park every year. They don't stop at 23%. Sometimes they hit 25%, 26%. So I think that's good. I think that you're being a minority as a small business owner gives you a huge advantage, because if you qualify for 8A, you can get into 8A. And if you're a veteran, you can also get into SDVOSB. Let's say you're a woman, you can get into WSB. Now I have one firm out of my 99 firms. I have one firm that has all 4 certifications. She's a minority, you know, Hispanic by ethnicity. She's a Navy veteran. She's a woman, and her office is located in a hub zone. She meets all of the qualifications. So just think, I mean, she can go after anything. So huge advantage. Next question.
That was it for right now. Thank you, John.
Okay. So now, let's see, we go to the next one. Okay, yes, so we covered this. And we got that. Okay. So now we'll talk about some of the online training sources. So once again, there's that word free up there. If you're in the 8A program or the Hub Zone program, we have free training. They call it 7J training. I mean, if you're an SDVOSB or WSB, you could get some free training with, you know, the SBDCs or PTAC. There's a lot of free training out there. But however, this training here, we have training that's geared specifically for firms that are in the 8A program or for firms in the Hub Zone program. And based on being certified, they qualify for the 7-day training. So it is just amazing. And I know with the annual reviews this year, we're actually asking the firms, how many 7J classes have you attended? And I'm ashamed to say that most of them have not taken advantage of this. So I got an email this morning from one of my firms whose annual review is due next month, and he told me that he's done 7 of these classes already. He's been in the program. This is his 2nd year in the program, and he's done 7 of these 7J courses. So this is great. Okay, next, SB Resource Partners. So here's some of the partners SCORE, and what we're going to do is I have a slide on each of them as we move forward. So there's SCORE, you heard me talk about SBDC, there's VBOT. Hazel Beck, Navy veteran, she's the director of VBOT. So she's there to help veterans. That's her charter. We talked about PTAC. There's the San Diego Center for International Trade Development. So we're interested in international trade. That's a good place to go. And then there's the San Diego and Imperial Women's Small Business Center. So I can tell you that PTAC, there's a PTAC, there's an SBDC, the International Trade Development Center, and the Women's Small Business Center that are all located at 880 National City Boulevard at Southwestern Community College. So yeah, you have a lot of sources out there that can help you. So SCORE, free small business advice, low or no cost classes. They have downloadable business plan templates. So if you go into the 8A program, I give my firms a specific template for their business plan. But if you're not going in the 8A program, you're going to do something else, and whether it's SDB, USB, WSB, or maybe not do business with the government, SCORE can help you with those business plan templates. And then for the veterans, there's okay, for everyone, there's a public lender list. So if some small business owner reaches out to me and says, hey, can you recommend a bank, or should I go with this bank or that bank to get a loan? I said, hey, I can't tell you. I can give you the public lender list. And if your bank is on there, I recommend that's a good place to start because you have a relationship. But if you're a veteran, if you reach out to me and say, hey, I'm a Marine veteran, or Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard veteran, I need a loan, or I'm interested in a loan. I can say, okay, here's the public lender list. And if you go on the last page, you'll see that there's a place called Veteran Launch. Okay, so this one is a little different. So they have they're the ones that can help you, and basically they can only assist you in California. They don't do things out of state. Okay, SBDCs, we have 3 of them: Southwestern College, Miracosta, and Carlsbad, and then there's one out in Imperial, so out in the El Centro area. And their mission is to build, sustain, grow small businesses, kind of like SBA, promote the small business development, and enhance the local economies by creating businesses and fulfilling its mission of creating jobs. So that's kind of what they do. PTAC, located at Southwestern College, they provide technical assistance to businesses that want to sell products and services to federal, state, and local governments. Yeah, and they can assist not only with the AD application, but also writing proposals. They do training and counseling. So let's say that they help you with the AD application when you get in, and then you see this opportunity that it says, oh, this is me. I got to go after this. But I've never written a proposal before. How do I do this? So you reach out to PTAC and say, hey, I need your help. Here is, either the RFI or the RFP, request for information or request for proposal. I've never written a proposal before. Can you help me out? And they will help you out for free. So that is great. Yeah, SBA loans. SBA does not lend money. So contrary to popular belief, it just guarantees the loan. And so this is some information. And just like anywhere, the banks, they require the 5 C's. What's your credit? You have collateral. What's your commitment? Are you good character or unquestionable moral integrity? And you have a cash flow. And here's something I put together. The mayor's office contacted me and asked me if I would speak down in an event they had. And I said, sure, I'd be more than happy. Could you send me the questions ahead of time? So I know that I'd be prepared. So I show up and I'm sitting there and they put this piece of paper in front of me with the questions. And I take a look. And one of the questions was, okay, what do you recommend the small businesses to be successful? So on these next two slides, I think I have 14 of them, but just off the top of my head, I wrote 11 down. And then I got back to my office and I looked what I came up with and I shared with everyone. I go, okay, yeah, here's a few more. So we already talked about this. If the government is buying what you're selling, you want to do business with the government, establish a SAM.gov account. And then build a great SAM and DSBS profile. That's your resume to attract buyers. So remember that slide, Christian Lopez from ACC3 International, his capabilities narrative was highlighted in green. He nailed it. Don't be like the other two that did not put any information in there. Obtain your federal and or state certification. So if you had a chance to listen to Wayne Gross, he is the authority when it comes to your certification in the state of California. So those of you that are veterans, DVBE. Here's something else that I'll just toss out for the veterans in the audience. To get into the federal SBA program, I've never seen it written anywhere what your disability rating has to be. So I have a few scars here and there. So those scars would rate me at 0% service connected. That would be enough for me to qualify as an SDVUSB. However, if you want to do business with the state of California, you need at least 10%. So the shoulder, that would give me 10%. So that's the distinction between the two. And no one agency buys what you're selling. So if you're in construction, you're probably not going to talk to the NAVWAR people because they specialize in IT. Conversely, if you're in the IT field, you probably wouldn't want to be talking to NAVFAC, Southwest, or Army Corps of Engineers because the preponderance of the work they do is in the construction field. Know the strengths and weaknesses of your competition. Use that to your advantage. Create a business plan and a capability statement. Take advantage of the free resources out there. You may not need SCORE, but if you're doing business with the federal government, you probably need PTAC and the SBDC. Yeah, and there are webinars. So take advantage of the free training opportunities that are there. Attend outreach events, industry days, training. Prior to COVID, I would flourish at these events. Nobody can work a room like I can. I go out there and I'm marketing all of my firms. I'm out there meeting every single large prime to tell them that I know there's a federal mandate. A certain percentage of your team has to be small business. I have 99 8A firms and 86 HubZone firms. I talk to the small businesses. Hey, you're interested in partnering, or have you heard about the 8A program? So when you get out there, you can have your capability statement, talk to people, and let them know that you have some knowledge about the federal agency or the government agency that they're with. Search for opportunities on beta.sam. And if you're going to go the state of California route, CalE, that link, CalE, that's your one-stop shopping. You can find information about events, outreach events for you to attend. You can do your certification on that link. You can seek out opportunities. Learn how to identify potential opportunities on fpds.gov. So that was the demo I gave you. Seek out subcontracting opportunities. And then somebody asked a question about NPA. Yeah, take advantage of an NPA or JVA only if it benefits you. So think about this. If you're in the 8A program, you think you have a good chance of finding a mentor. So just picture that you're a little fish. You're one of 99 fish that are in my 8A program. And on the periphery are sharks circling because none of those sharks are in the 8A program. The only way that they can have access to 8A opportunities is with you that would be through a mentor-protege relationship or maybe a joint venture, that you would be the prime, they would be the sub. So if you have that feeling in your gut that, huh, this isn't right, always think about what's in it for me. If I select a mentor, does that person have a piece of the puzzle I'm missing? What can I learn from them? If the answer is nothing, then you don't want to do that. And then build relationships with small business reps and buyers. It's all about building relationships. And then the last one is, once you land the contract, perform so you get more. Think about the fitness reports you had or the evaluations you had when you were in the military. You did the best you could, and you wanted to have a fitness report or an evaluation that showed that you walked on water. And if you performed well, chances are you might be recommended for a meritorious promotion or maybe a choice school or some kind of choice duty. But if you didn't perform, that would not be a good thing. So you have to perform on those contracts so you can get more. And I think the next slide is just the questions. So if there's any additional questions, I can field them at this time. If a few days from now, there's a question that you have and you forgot to ask, yeah, reach out to me. And then there's that website again. So if you have additional questions, you want to do a recon, gather more information, yeah, definitely go in there. So any other questions at this time?
No
so
questions.
While we're waiting, in case there are any more questions, yeah, I want to thank you for this opportunity, really, to invite me into your home and have a chance to talk and share about something I'm passionate about. The other thing is that I have more than 29,200 first-degree connections on LinkedIn. So if you go to LinkedIn and you type in John Engstrom, chances are I'll be at the top of the list. So you could always send me an invite, ask me to join on LinkedIn, and always put something personal, like I said, hey John, I listened to the presentation. I'm a fellow veteran. If I see fellow veteran, 99% of the time I'm going to accept. There are some exceptions where I won't accept based on things that have happened to me before by doing that. So people in certain fields, I won't accept. So I think Jennifer mentioned, yeah, if you missed my first presentation, that one I covered all 4 of the government certification programs. So if you're interested in SDVOSB, WOSB, or HubZone, certainly, once you've signed up into the program, you have access to the YouTube videos. Yeah, check it out. And if there's any problems with the audio, yeah, it was all Jennifer's fault. Yeah, it wasn't me. Because there's high tech and low tech. I'm probably low tech. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to get the slides up there and share it. But hey, Jennifer, thanks for being a great shipmate and helping me out.
If you can go ahead and stop sharing,
okay,
so we can a few reminders.
Okay.
Okay. Before I let everybody go, I have a few reminders for everyone who missed the first webinar series of the small business class that was held on April 30. We are doing a first premiere for that event on Monday. Okay, so again, how can you view it? Go to our Ops for Vet YouTube channel. On Monday, we are doing the premiere, okay? So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, Ops for Vet YouTube channel, okay? Also, may I remind you, our next class will be on June 22nd, and with our Department of General Services, Miss Anda. She is our branch chief, and she will talk about the 3 W's, which is who, what, and why, followed by Mr. Wayne Gross on July 27 is the third part 3 of the series. And it's about learning about state of California contracts. Again, if you have not responded to any of, I guess, the notification, reach out to us. If you haven't registered, get certified, go to Ops for Vet and register your business. Advertise your business. Go to opsforvet.com. Reach out to Mr. Albert Renteria. Thank you, Mr. John, for today's class. Thank you to everybody. Again, thank you for having skin in the game. We'll see you again next time.
Hey, my pleasure. And Jennifer mentioned about Wayne Gross. I did talk about him earlier. No one knows that subject like he does. And if you're interested in getting your certification, your DVBE certification, Wayne told me, he said, John, it's so easy. Even a Marine can do it in 45 minutes, because obviously he knows that I'm a Marine. But if you get a chance to listen to him, definitely worth the time. Okay, hey, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sponsored by the ARC, Wild Apricot, Department of General Services, and the Metro Water District.